greatest things about guitar making for me is the fact that it's not just about making a product. It's about creativity and expression and ultimately creating art. And if you've made even one guitar, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But you might also know that to start to create your own unique art, your own guitars that might veer away from whatever blueprint you might have used in the past or whatever traditional norm that is set, it can be a little intimidating sometimes, and it can feel a little bit like you're just in the dark, searching and just trying stuff, and you don't really understand why. That there isn't enough framework to help you make the decisions you need to make to maybe, step out there and get the courage to execute some of these designs and ideas that you might have in your mind so far. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about in this video. I think it's important for each of us to focus our energies on growing as artists and not just manufacturers of products, because the world needs the art that only you can make. Each of us has a special gift. This is what I believe that the world needs, and it's important, whether we're guitar makers or painters or writers, that we stay true to focusing on developing those gifts and looking for better ways to grow them and refine them so that we can do our part as we're all working and growing together and learning from one another. And I believe that there is a guitar player out there, or there are guitar players out in the world right now who are dreaming about, they have a tone and a look and a feel of a guitar, like their dream guitar that's in their mind just might be a guitar that only you can make. So they're waiting for you to do it. So I'm trying to inspire you and encourage you and kind of point out the importance of you taking those steps to go beyond just building a guitar from a kit or a blueprint. That's a wonderful place to start, and it's really important to start within the traditional boundaries because they're there for a reason and they are successful, and that you can make great guitars that way. But I want to encourage you to step out past that and begin creating unique guitars that are totally and truly yours and an expression of you and your creativity. So I'm going to go through and just I'm going to share with you just a few simple points that I'm hoping will kind of give you some tools and maybe just be that little nudge you needed to maybe take a step forward with creating your own unique design. So when I'm designing a guitar, the very first thing that I like to do and that I think is incredibly important, and that unfortunately maybe a lot of people don't do, is get out there and listen to some guitars. What happened to me was, in the case of steel string guitars, I was set on building my first steel string with a traditional Martin X-brace pattern and just kind of staying within this norm, and I really had no desire whatsoever to go outside of those boundaries until one fateful day when I was at a guitar show here in St. Louis, and I had played some really wonderful guitars throughout the course of the day as I went from booth to booth to all the different guitar makers. I was there displaying. It was the first time I had ever displayed my work at a show, and the guitars were really great, but for some reason none of them just really connected with my heart. It just didn't inspire me until I happened to see this guitar hanging on the wall that had no hole in the front and only a hole in the side. And I thought to myself, what, how can that work? And anyway, as I started to walk up to it, the builder of that guitar took it off the wall, strummed an E chord, and it just hit me and almost knocked me down. It felt like it was the sound that I was looking for. And so right then I knew that that was a direction I needed to pursue, because based on that sound, like there was something in that sound, not that I want to copy it exactly, but there was something there that was one of those components that I had been looking for and searching for. And so I'm telling the story to point out the first point, which is listen and choose the style of guitar you want to build based on listening over just theory. Like don't pick a design based on theory. for me, I think the art comes first and the theory comes second to help you understand it more and grow for the next time you're going to express more from your heart and create the art, and then the theory comes next, and it's a cycle of growth and expression, of course. Okay, so the next thing, the second step, step 2, is when you've identified that guitar, spend some time learning about it, analyze it. You know, identifying the guitar that has certain qualities, or guitars that have qualities you want to incorporate into yours. Learn about them, analyze them, and then write down a list. It's critical to write it down. You've got to write it down. You think you're going to remember it, but by the time you're done making your guitar, you might not know. And definitely a few years later, when you're on, 10 or 20 guitars later or whatever, it's great to have those records to go back, because without something solid, you can't get a solid, clear vision, because your hands are going to create what you see in your mind. That's what Eugene Clark always told me when I was learning from him. You've got to have that vision in your mind, and if you write it down, it really helps to solidify it, helps to keep you focused during the design process, and it helps you to measure your results at the end and evaluate what needs to be changed next time and what worked well. So that's step 2. Step 3 is to take those goals, take everything that you've done in step 1 and 2, and make a full-scale drawing. This is something that I always do when I'm making a new guitar model, because the full-scale drawing is going to further solidify and help you work out all these different decisions and design considerations you're going to make to achieve the goals that you laid out and reach those goals that you have for the sound and the look and everything. And it's going to help you work out a lot of details that could potentially be problems in the building process, such as the neck geometry and all these other types of things. So those 3 simple steps, if you incorporate them into your design process, it'll really help point you in the right direction, and hopefully just give you that little nudge, and maybe a little bit of this video will give you a little nudge of inspiration to take those steps and do that really important work of bringing into the world your art, your guitars, your masterpiece that only you can create, that people are waiting for, and that they need to make the music that they have inside them. So that's this little piece of this little video here. I hope that was helpful for you. And for anybody who's interested in learning more about the process of developing these unique and special guitars that are truly yours, be on the lookout for my next video, because in it I'm going to tell you about a new online course that I've put together. And in the course I walk through every single step and trick and technique and everything I've developed and that I use to design and build my guitars, and to really embrace and incorporate that creative aspect of searching out that art and that creative part of it that I think is so valuable. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're not a member of the Art of Lutherie already, theartoflutherie.com, head over there and become a free member, and then you'll be sure that when the next video comes out, it'll go right to your inbox.